I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are speaking with Rose Sieverding, the steadfast partner of Gregory McPhee, author of the book, Addicted and Convicted. Rose has witnessed firsthand the tumultuous journey of Gregory, a man who has faced addiction, imprisonment, and even death. As we delve into their lives, we'll explore the transformative power of love and faith that has allowed them both to overcome the darkness of the past and find hope in the present. We are delighted to have Rose in the spotlight today. We thank the folks at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Rose, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
This is quite a powerful work that Gregory composed. Tell folks a little bit about Addicted and Convicted.
Well, I'll tell you, when I found that Gregory had come from an abusive family. Mm-hmm. And that was one thing. And probably at the age of 10, he was probably doing things like stealing and in reform schools. And eventually, as he got older, he was in prison. And it just, I finding a friend like that, which was like my brother, I compare the two together. They're kind of the way they look. Gregory was one I saw at a meeting after my boys got back from the service. And so I went there and I saw this guy across a crowded room. So I got to meet that guy. I just have to. He looked like my brother. His hair was kind of scraggly looking, and I rushed to meet him. And he told me about in 1989, he was hoping to publish his writings. Well, here now we're up to probably, oh my goodness, 2009. So all of this has been sitting in a box. I was never afraid to go to Gregory's house by myself. He lived in a pretty rough part of town. But in seeing all the things that he went through, it just in reading more today, I just feel like he's with me all the time. These things are here, and of the things I went through with him, and just being there the last day, being there 15 minutes before he died. He died 15 minutes before I got there, and I just couldn't believe. And I stood there, and I told you I was coming back. And of course, then the process goes. We got him ready to be sent to California to his family or to Washington. And I don't know. There was just something in this. Probably some of this first I read telling about how he'd been in the hospital many times and he'd had difficulty, chest pains and things like this. And he was a very small guy. And in all the work that he's ever done, whether he was in painting or whether he was, you wondered how he worked. He was so small, but he did. So, but that's kind of just an overshadow of him. I have tried to get in touch with his mother, who would be over 90 years old now, because Gregory would be about 70, with no answer. Nobody has contacted me about any relatives he might have had. So, Gregory also was one who had a dream. He had a dream, and it was just dealing with, getting other people off of some addictions he had and just leading them to God. I mean, he was really into that. And he and I had spoken oftentimes about me going out to speak to people about his book, but we never got that far. But
yeah. Well, it's nice you have this piece of Gregory still in your life, and it's nice that you're sharing it with others. Tell the folks at home how you discovered this work by Gregory.
Okay, other than the meeting I met him at, he said he'd been trying to publish, get a typist. He was not a typist. He had an old typewriter, but he wasn't a typist. And he said, I've been trying to get this published. And he said, but I need somebody to type it for me. So I said, I will do that for you. And so at that point, that's when I went to his house to get everything he had and brought it home. And of course, it took me 2 years and 3 months to type that, just dissecting words and punctuation. And and the entire time I was sitting doing that, I cried
Yeah.
at the computer. It was really emotional to the point I was all done. The manuscript was together, but it was 2 years and 3 months. And
And
and of
it's,
course, I've got, like I said, enough. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's sort of like going through his journal. It's kind of reliving part of his life. It's this true connection. So it must have been extremely emotional for you to be typing this all up.
Yeah, it was, because it was very comparable to my brother
Mhm.
who died in Arizona, but they compared to each other greatly, and so for that reason, there. Unfortunately, we had an office in town where I did this. I did this typing while I was working at the insurance office,
Right.
and now, of course, that business has been sold.
Yeah.
So I do everything just at home.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about getting this book to print, getting this book published. What's your hope that people will learn from his experience and learn a little bit more about his life and his trials and tribulations?
This is what I hope, because it not only is for probably real young people who, I being the age of 75 now, seeing young people, what's all going on here, and they're going through the same thing with alcohol and drugs, and they're just basically not finding the Lord. And that was Gregory's big thing. He was a very Christian man. And and so that's why it doesn't just, really, you can't just say you're going to speak to it about young people, but you've got middle-aged people, middle-aged, and that have problems, that have children, or they're not making enough money. But then you get my age group, and it is true, if you had all of these addictions when you were early, that would probably carry over.
Yeah.
But for me, I have my own kind of story of what happened to me. And so I'm able to overcome all that, because my thing is that I go over and beyond anything I can do for somebody. And that's how I live. And there's sometimes I probably take on too much, but I manage to get through it and do exactly what I want, that I have to do and need to do.
Yeah. How long has this book been available? Have you recently published it?
2011, it finally was
2011.
published. Yes. So
Okay.
it's been 12 years now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I'm basing that upon the age of Gregory, because I think he was probably in his late 50s. And so that's why I think he's about 70 now. He
Yeah.
would have been 70. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Tell me a little bit about what your lives were like together.
what our lives were like
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you. Oh, how can you? He was a very loving man. He would, if I would see him, he was very considerate of me all the time. In
Mm.
fact, the first time I went to get all these writings, I went to that part of town, got out of my car, knocked on the door, and he had pumpkin pie and coffee ready for me. It was just like, wow. And
Yeah.
then we put all this information. But I thought that was kind of unusual.
Yeah. It's a
I
sweet
don't,
thing to do.
I mean, yes, it was just, he was very comforting. He wanted to be very congenial to me when I'm sitting there. So, but it was very dark inside.
Yeah.
And, but that's just the way his house was. So,
Right.
so that was our first thing. I think the second time I went to his apartment, I took my sister with me, and he had a Native American gentle with him, and I should have just remembered that day, but he also had another young man with him. And we were having quite a conversation with them, and they asked us if we would like a drink. Well, I said to my sister, when in Rome, we're going to do as the Romans do, so drinks. So, but that was fine. And then we went on.
Yeah.
So.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so happy you were able to put down his story in print. It is called Addicted and Convicted. It is a story of Gregory McPhee. It is a story he compiled over a number of years. His partner, Rose L Sieverding, has put it together in a book form, and it's available to read, and it is quite compelling. It is quite touching indeed. Rose, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
I thank you very much too. Thank you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. A real pleasure speaking with you. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.